The Third Watch News Update is a part of the Amateur Radio Network.
Rhetoric. I keep telling people, this is not rhetoric.
No, it's not rhetoric at all, because the deep state, the globalists, they're not going to roll over and play dead and give up. They're going to fight for their lives, because they know they're in the biggest struggle they faced yet. So people need to understand, just because Trump's president, it's not over. But the
game's only begun. And it's a game for our entire family future. Mike, let me ask you this in closing. I've got to say, I've been ashamed of the stuff that happens in America. I've gotten upset at some of my fellow country people, but I'm really actually proud right now to realize what's been going on in the last few decades. And I always have known this, but I've personally been humble about it because I've been mission-oriented. But I'm telling you, this is history. This is so incredible what's happening, so complex, so big, and we really are getting the upper hand. We're having big victories. And it just really makes me proud to be an American. I've always been proud of our history. I'm so proud of our country. I love my fellow country people, no matter what color they are, where they came from. People that love liberty, I love them. And it makes me so proud right now to see that the country's coming back. And it makes me only want to work harder to make sure we succeed against these people.
Yeah, the second American Civil War has already started. Now, it's not involving shooting or that much violence, although we've seen the riots and protests, and I believe they're going to get a lot worse. But it's a struggle between two ideologies, the ideology of the globalist and the ideology of freedom and liberty and the values of our founding fathers. And one of those ideologies is eventually going to win and vanquish the others. And up until now, the globalists, they've had control of the entertainment system, the news, the education system, the political system, most of our politicians. But now with Trump, we're seeing an uprising. Now, the battle's not won. It could go either way, or there's a third alternative where we destroy each other and bring the nation down in the process. So that's
better than the globalists, all anti-family, pro-death people. That'd be better than the country bring down and then be run. Because them in control is humanity being brought down. That's more important than the country.
Oh, it's true. And so people need to realize this civil war is going to take time to play out, and it's not clear which side is going to ultimately reign victorious.
And that's why the maximum effort now of every man, woman, and child is critical.
Maximum effort, more than ever before. And now Donald Trump has given us a beachhead, a foothold in the political realm to start making major changes, but we've got to actually make those changes. We got to keep Trump in office. That's why they're trying so hard to topple him, because they know they're in danger. And so it's the struggle, it's the fight of our lives, and people have got to put more
energy. The fight for America and the future of humanity is happening now, folks. It's really happening. That's not hype. It's beyond any hype I have. This is it. Be involved, pray, be politically involved, call and talk radio, C-SPAN, support broadcasts like this, call Congress, just whatever. Get aggressive, because the enemy media is not going to tell you what's happening. Michael Snyder, thank you so much for your great work.
Thank you.
All right, Senator Rand Paul called up about 30 minutes ago, wants to come on with some big news on Obamacare and the repeal of it. I know he wants something even stronger. I've looked at the legislation. I think what Trump's saying is great for negotiations, a good start, but Paul wants even more, so I'm fine with that. He wants to talk about the war that's going on in the government as well. So we'll talk to Rand Paul. I really like, it's been on fire lately. I really like that. And he's one of the whole Russia things made up, so it's very, very exciting. And Dr. Jerome Corsi has huge news as well joining us. And Paul Watson from London, England, just briefly.
We're going to pick up with more of this audio, but I just wanted to just add into some of the stuff that has been reported about the child abuse, the epic concerns that come with this kind of investigation, or these kind of internal battles that are happening within the government, within what's happening just altogether. And I think you can piggyback on with what Alex Jones is saying. If we can stand united as a country, there's one aspect of this that I have to just give a warning. If everything that comes out is true and there's casualties like that, which we've been hearing about, these stories about cases involving mass graves of children going back to the mid-1950s, 60s, or whichever, stories like that. We have another concern, and is dealing with the reality of these casualties. And I think that's underreported. So when we listen to the other reports about what's coming out, I'm a little guarded, because part of me wants to discuss, but I think we are going to lay low and wait and see what happens here. I know a lot of people report about it, but I just initially need to just address this. It's primarily because I think what's going to come out, as you've been hearing about reports like cases like DC Pedogate and the people that might be involved, or if there is more to these stories as it's revealed, I do not believe it'll come out right away. But if it does, because the way it's been coming out is trickling out, but it's a lot of information. It's a lot for people who've been through something. So I'm just a little more guarded now going through this now that more and more has been revealed in this Vault 7 report, CIA data dump from the WikiLeaks. I would be just concerned that people have to be ahead of this, be aware. There are going to be a lot of casualties, and for somebody, this is going to tug at some people's hearts, and that's my main concern. Is a lot of people don't want to overlook that, and that's underreported. Alternative media has covered a lot of things on social media, especially Reddit and Steemit and people who have been on Vote. I just hope they keep that in mind. This is incredibly emotional for me personally. I think many people have to get that, and that's why I'm backing away a little bit carefully, just so that we can just kind of process some of it. We're going to go back to those reports though with InfoWars, as he's going to be discussing more with Senator Rand Paul.
The Vault 7 files, because, like you said, there's 7,000 pages worth of documentation here.
Or 709, but
is a very powerful project within the CIA, within their hacking development. What they do is they acquire assets. They try to pick up everything that they could find. One thing that they did grab was the hacking team's dump. Hacking Team was a Swiss company, one of the biggest anti-piracy kind of hacking enforcers. Had a whole source code dump of everything that they had exploits for, hacks for, things like that. So any operating system you can think of under the sun.
Wireless systems, your home appliances.
Wi-Fi routers, everything. Full control over access and source codes to kits where they can basically create backdoor access to any operating system on any computer platform.
And they're waiting in a car. Michael Hastings is getting in his car. They have an exploit system. They launch it. They get control of the car. He doesn't even know it. They hit the button. It accelerates to 120. Boom.
Yep.
Detonate the bomb. I mean, they've got it all.
Yep. Full control over any type of computerized system. This is only one layer. This is one company they took information from.
This is the keys to the Trojan horse takeover system that endangers the entire planet.
Yep. Yeah, it's unreal.
Why would you allow this to be put into everything, knowing other governments, individuals, even if you were evil, you wouldn't want something like this?
Well, what's incredible is the fact that they have the capability of not just taking this information, but re-implementing all of it into whatever they like, whatever type of service or program that they want. There's even documents in here of devices with hacking software built into it that are already out being deployed.
Oh, yeah, they get the big telecoms and big producers and put it in them, and they got chips you can remote access everything.
Yep. Yeah, it's
a total breakaway civilization, industrial level rewrite of the entire cultural system for surveillance and social engineering and control. And Zuckerberg and Schmidt, all of them have been given the keys to it. That's the next level.
Yep. And what's important, too, is that these FISA courts basically enable them to have full access to all of these tools anytime they say anyone is a Russian agent, anytime they say there's any type of...
And that means 1 million people connected to them in a sphere.
Yes. Yeah, and it goes deep. The map of all there's 36 departments under the cyber.
So there's no oversight. You're giving a bunch of control freaks. We can show the map to folks of the CIA flowchart. We can pull that up. I was showing that earlier. Keep going.
Yep. As you can see on the chart here, there's the Center for Cyber Intelligence, and if you look at the breakdown of just the Center for Cyber Intelligence, the CCI, that whole branch below it is all tied to it.
And that's mainly leftist control freaks that they literally put in charge of everything.
Yep, it's 36 separate departments.
I talked to folks there at the CIA, and they say when Trump came in, those guys were hopping around with hatred. Get him out of here. I couldn't even control themselves.
Thank you for listening.
I mean, it was just like, I don't think hackers are wimps. I'm saying what type of leftists they hired. Great point, Zach. We'll be back straight ahead with Senator Rand Paul and more. All right, I want to go to a John Bowne report right now dealing with the criminal underground of the U.S. president, the criminal undermining of the U.S. president. We won't get to all the report right now. We'll get to part of it. And then Senator Rand Paul's coming up in the next segment with big breaking news. He's doing a great job in the Senate as of late, especially. Let's go to this report from John Bowne.
Deep State Gate, a criminal enterprise utilizing a barrage of intelligence leaks, propaganda spinning politicians, and an overreaching surveillance state seeking to undermine the newly elected populist president of the United States, Donald J. Trump. Breitbart reports former NSA official, now whistleblower, William Binney, when asked whether he believes the NSA is tapping Trump, Binney replied, "Absolutely. How did they get the phone call between the president and the president of Australia, or the one that he made with Mexico? Indeed. Remember when Obama tapped the phones of Brazilian President Rousseff and German Chancellor Merkel? While former Bush Attorney General Michael Mukasey speaks from experience."
Until Congress comes out and says, here's the proof that we now see that there was connections between the Trump campaign and Russians known to U.S. intelligence, and then, and only then you would say, because that would be possibly a criminal act, right?
No, it wouldn't.
Even if they had regular contact talking about working together?
The only statute I know that conceivably violates is the Logan Act, which hasn't been prosecuted since 1793. Right. I think the president was not correct, certainly, in saying that President Obama ordered a tap on a server in Trump Tower. However, I think he's right in that there was surveillance and that it was conducted at the behest of the Justice Department through the FISA court. They apparently tried to get a wiretap based on their criminal investigation function in June. That was turned down. They then tried to get and got an order permitting them to conduct electronic surveillance in October. This is October of 2016.
There was no such wiretap activity mounted against the president-elect at the time, or as a candidate, or against his campaign.
If you could give me a yes or no answer to the question, does the NSA collect any type of data at all on millions or hundreds of millions of Americans?
No, sir.
It does not.
Not wittingly.
Why is your agency above the law, sir? Why can you lie to the Senate about mass surveillance, presuming the entire globe to be subject to pervasive selection?
The entire debacle hinges on whether or not the second FISA request was granted, an investigation that was confirmed by the media back in November of 2016. If anything, President Trump's reaction is long overdue.
This is a major priority for the President of the United States. He directed his intelligence community and national security officials to take this on. He expects that report to be issued to him before he leaves office.
The question is, how will his successor react? In January of 2017, BuzzFeed and CNN cooked up the Trump dossier fake news nonsense.
All right.
Meanwhile, Obama was...
Senator Rand Paul has said the whole Russia thing is hysteria. That's being proven accurate now as we learn more. And as the new CIA data dump, Vault 7, is released, we'll talk to Senator Shredder.com.
That's survivalistcamps.com. Trust your family's survival to survivalistcamps.com.
Are you happy washing your hands with harsh chemicals? Are you happy doing laundry with detergents? Are you happy paying high prices? Find your happiness with Pure Soap. These all-natural, earth-friendly Pure Soaps are the very best you've ever used. Buy in bulk. Get a 12, 36, or 48-month supply. Or get items individually and still save big. You're getting soap products twice as good as what you're using now. Earth-friendly and natural soaps. Your family deserves the best. Happiness is 5starsoap.com. 5starsoap.com. Why not put your money up the drain for a change? See them at 5starsoap.com or call 1-800-340-7091 for a catalog. Cal Ben Soap Company can save you thousands of dollars and give you good old-fashioned real soaps that are triple concentrated. Soaps made from vegetable and coconut oils. See their full selection of soaps at 5starsoap.com. That's F-I-V-E starsoap.com. Or call 1-800-340-7091 for a catalog.
We now take you live to the Central Texas Command Center and the heart of the resistance, rallying patriots worldwide. You're listening to The Alex Jones Show.
Rand Paul joins us for this segment. I got to tell you, I've been really proud of the work he's been doing, trying to get a copy of Obamacare last week when the Republicans had it in secret, exposing this whole Russia thing. It's a bunch of red herrings. He's been exposing the whole NSA spy grid, obviously, before he was even in the Senate. And so I think we've got the senator on the line with us. Senator, are you there?
I am, Alex. Thanks for having me.
Well, it's good to have you here. Wow, so much going on. Where should we start, with Obamacare?
Yeah, I mean, it really disturbs me that for 6 years we've been running to repeal Obamacare. The American public elected the House Majority Republican in 2010, the Republican Senate 2014, and then the White House in 2016. They elected us to repeal it, and now what the House leadership is putting forward is simply Obamacare light.
Now, I saw, obviously, quotes of you this morning on Fox, and I agreed with it. I'd like to have something, really good, so perhaps you can propose that. I know you have had some proposals, but overall, just to be able to get rid of the forced mandate, the $5,000 fines, that would be a good thing. But let's walk through this.
Well, what we can do is, about a year ago, we tried to get rid of as much of it as we could. So we had a vote a little bit over a year ago, and every Republican in the House and every Republican in the Senate, except for one, voted to repeal the whole thing. And I think that's where we ought to start, is there. Instead, people are saying, we should replace it with some government programs. We should replace it with Obamacare Light. And there's agreement on repeal, but we're really just not agreed on the replacement. I have a free market replacement bill, which sort of gives people more choices, but the House leadership has put forward Obamacare subsidies, and they call them refundable tax credits. They put forward Obamacare taxes. In fact, for the next year, they leave all of the Obamacare taxes in place.
Wow.
And they leave the Cadillac tax, the tax on really good insurance, stays in place forever. And here's the other interesting thing, and not many people know this. There is an individual mandate in their bill. You don't pay the mandate to the government. You don't have to pay a tax if you don't buy insurance, but you pay a penalty to the insurance company. The insurance companies have their fingers into this bill, and the insurance companies also have bailouts built into them. If someone's insurance becomes expensive, if someone gets really sick, instead of the insurance company taking the risk, they're pawning the risk off on the taxpayer. So I think there are enough votes, enough conservatives in the House Freedom Caucus, and enough conservatives in the Senate to stop this thing. And then our hope is that we'll vote on a clean repeal. Let's just repeal Obamacare and forget trying to start new government programs.
Well, this is obviously Trump central with our audience. I love a lot of what Trump's doing, trying to cut taxes and get jobs back. But I was watching you this morning, what you said. I went and Googled it, and sure enough, there it was, that there's a mandate to the insurance company, a private corporate tax. I get it's better than Obamacare, but you're right. If you have the votes to just get rid of the damn thing, let's get rid of it. We know it was the Republican establishment helped write it with Mitt Romney a decade ago when he was governor of Massachusetts. So, Senator Paul, again, I want to just commend you as the only major Republican I've seen so far to come out and point out that this is not as good a deal as the Republican leadership saying. And Trump saying, hey, a good start. I like it. It's a good negotiation point. So maybe he doesn't know how bad it is. Maybe he needs to hear from the listeners and you.
Well, I talked to him yesterday. He called me up, and we had a great conversation. He and I are getting along just well, just very fine. And in that conversation, he said he wanted to hear other ideas, and that really, I think he understands the legislative process, and the Republican Party is not monolithic. There are conservatives, there are moderates, there are big government Republicans, and there's the establishment. And he, more than anybody else, knows that you got to fight the establishment and the status quo. And he understands that there are a lot of people whispering in his ear from Washington that have been here forever that really, I guess, just aren't intent as much on repealing the whole thing. They want to replace it with another program. But I think he's open to listening. He asked for my ideas on this, and I think he truly did want to hear from some members who aren't happy with what's coming forward. And I think you'll notice if you look at his pronouncements, his wasn't take it or leave it. He didn't say what some are saying, that this is the holy grail and this is the end of the debate.
No, he said, let's start a negotiation.
Exactly, and I take him at his word on that, and I told him I was willing to work with him to try to find a repeal in a way. But I did tell him what I've been telling everybody in the press, and that's it. I think the only way we get this through is to separate repeal from replace. I think we agree on repeal. Most Republicans have been campaigning on repeal for 6 years, but the replacement part, some people want to continue Obamacare programs, the taxes, the subsidies, the mandates. They want to continue that, the insurance company bailouts.
Well, I mean, sure, Paul Ryan is on the Soros payroll. He's all behind this. We know that most of this bill is Republican. That's what's so shameful. So, I've seen you break down your legislation that I think would be actually a great way to repeal it and then replace. I mean, let's talk about your legislation, where people find it, how we get your legislation out there front and center.
My replacement bill, we have two different bills. One is the complete repeal from a year ago, and we're going to introduce that this afternoon with Congressman Jim Jordan. And then the second thing we're going to do is a replacement bill. We've already done it from about a month ago. It's called Senate Bill 222. And in it, there's something really exciting. And I've met a lot of your listeners. A lot of them are small business owners, independent-minded people, people who work for themselves. And my bill allows them to join an association. What does that mean? I'll give you an example. In Kentucky, 700,000 people have their money in a credit union. They're members of a credit union. We would let all 700,000 of them join a health association, and then they would
Makes perfect sense. Let small businesses pool in free association across state lines even. That brings real free market.
Same for the Farm Bureau. We have 30,000 people in the Farm Bureau, but they buy individual insurance. The problem with individual insurance is your husband or your spouse gets sick. It's devastating.
We need to pool.
Yeah, the insurance companies have all the power, and here's what I've been saying. Right now, if I want to buy insurance, I've got to go kiss the boots of the insurance company. What I want to do is change it. I want so many people in association that when I go to buy insurance, the insurance company executive comes and bows down and says, "Sir, what can I do to provide you with a good product? Because you have the power." So I'm trying to transfer the power from the man, which is the insurance companies, to the people, which is the consumer and the average ordinary American that needs to buy insurance. We can do it through an association. If you're in a large association, you have the power to demand a good price. You have the power to demand they can't drop you when you get sick, but you do it all through the market, by the leverage of the marketplace.
Just like your dad always said, common sense Americana. Well, then the minutes we have left with Senator Rand Paul, what's the best place, your Senate.gov site or RandPaul.com?
I think RandPaul.com is the easiest one to go to, and they can look at our bill. We've got it online. We haven't been trying to hide ours. Ours has been out for a month. And later on today, we'll have up the complete repeal. So we're going to have two bills, complete repeal and replace, but as separate bills.
Well, I'm firmly behind what you're doing, and I'm glad the president's just saying it's an opening debate in salvo. And the time we have left, I mean, I love when you ran for Senate, obviously backed you, did a great job once you got in. During the campaign, stuff kind of all went wild. But overall, lately, and I'm not just saying this, you're on the show now, you have been saying this on air, you are really like the leading liberty light. And then Trump seems to be responding and listening, and I see in press conferences with him and him taking your lead and everything. So it's very exciting, for me to see you more and more working with the president and seeing him pretty much aligning with you more and more. So I'm glad to see you guys are friends again.
Well, the interesting thing is while we had our disagreements, politics is a rough and tumble sport for adults. We had our disagreements, but the interesting thing is when you look at some of his ideas, you can see some resemblance. So
he loves your dad. Loves you.
He was opposed to the Iraq War. He thought that nation building was wasting a lot of money overseas and we ought to spend that money at home. We got to rebuild our own country before we think about, rebuilding other countries. He has thought regime change in the Middle East has led to more war and less stability. So really on some major issues like the Iraq War, nation building, regime change, we've been on the same page. I think on the intelligence communities, the fact that we are sort of spying on foreigners but then trapping Americans in that spy game, they've trapped the president in this. They have now, and here's something that most people don't know. The NSA spies on the president all the time. Not only this president, they spied on President Obama 1,500 times in 1 year, and what they did is they say they minimize his name. So they know he's talking to a foreign leader. They're spying on the foreign leader. They record the whole phone call. But here's the rub. You're dependent on honest people in the NSA and in the intelligence apparatus to not reveal that conversation. But we've already found out they revealed the Michael Flynn conversation, which is illegal, and they ought to go to jail for.
Well, that's my next question, Senator. Since you're bringing this up, we've got a former drop, Senator Rand Paul.
I think the most important thing I'm hearing and that I'm worried about is that private conversations between our officials, our president, NSA, are being monitored and then leaked. And this is not the same as a leak like you say something personal about what the president or their wife is wearing in the White House. That's a leak. But if you reveal classified conversations that are being tapped by the intelligence community, this is a crime that should be punishable by jail, and it lets the deep state have so much power that every American will ultimately live in fear of their phone conversations being listened to. And so this is very, very dangerous, and if there is any kind of investigation, it needs to be of those in the intelligence community who are committing felonies by revealing secretly recorded conversations.
Well, exactly. We always think of a Russian threat or a Chinese threat, and certainly those are threats, but what about our own bureaucrats? Anybody knows with their own business, your biggest threat's a rogue employee. It's problems inside jobs. This is crazy that they would go this far and be this arrogant. It seems like the Democrats have gone from being very arrogant just a week ago to running scared. Now, I'm not seeing a lot of this in MSM, but the number one story on the internet, which is the real media, is Vault 7. So I know you're a busy man for our country, but I hope you can also talk more about that, because it seems like good people in the intelligence agencies, this didn't come from the Russians, obviously, I'm told it comes from the CIA, are leaking about their own agencies because they see these agencies sabotaging a president that's only trying to turn our economy back on. Senator Rand Paul, anytime you want to come on, thank you for coming on the broadcast. We'll be looking for your 2 new bills that you already had a year ago, reintroduced today at randpaul.com. We'll certainly get behind those. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Alex.
All right. There goes Senator Rand Paul. And it's good. The media always talks about Rand Paul. And, where's Rand Paul on your show? He doesn't like you. I'm like, no, the last time he came on, he called us a few years ago. I told the crew, though, call Rand Paul more. He's a great guy. We should have him on. He got in that big fight with Trump. Nasty stuff was said back and forth. Whatever. I don't care. That's politics. Rand Paul cares about this country, and he's smart. I was going to say damn smart, but it's a Christian audience. I just did it, didn't I? Him and his dad, they read all day long. I've sat there with Ron Paul at lunch before, and he's sitting there going, just reading newspapers. I'm like, can you just talk to me for a minute? They constantly, in legislation and everything else, they actually care. And I'm telling you, I remember he introduced his bill a year ago. I read it then or scanned over it. I haven't seen the.
To follow more additional information, look to the description box below. The Third Watch News Update is a part of the Amateur Radio Network.